Welcome back to the Void. We're going over some classic conspiracy theories today. We're going to be doing vibrations. We're going to be talking about how quantum mechanics proves that vibrations are real and that therefore you can get anything you want if you just think about it hard enough and manifest it, and you will attract success. Is that true? Is that real? Absolutely not, but it's fun to talk about. So, let's get into it. Where's my mouse? There it is. Gotta have that uplifting sort of new age meditation music in the background. Love it.
Vibrational alignment is the most accurate way to create deliberate manifestations in our lives with the law of attraction. And most of us know that...
First sentence already off to a wild start. Is there closed captioning on this video at all? Okay. Doesn't want to show up, but sure, why not? First off, wild start to this video. Vibrational frequency is the easiest way to prove that the law of attraction is real. Prove any of that? Show me anything that stuff is actually, like, real? You can't just say that stuff and not, like, expect me to ask, okay, but how? Okay, but why? That's all I want to know.
in order to be a vibrational match to our manifestations,
Oh,
we
boy.
must create the feeling state within ourselves first so that we may begin to perceive those things as a reality.
Okay, I'm just going to turn captions off because they don't seem to be a thing. There's only that black box there. Vibrations are caused by our feeling state, and our feeling state is a way to connect, is a way to vibrate ourselves. Y'all, are we the Flash? Can we just like and then suddenly like I'm vibrating through the couch? Because that's what I want to do right now. I want to vibrate myself so that I can pass through this couch. It's not working. It's not working. Why isn't it working? Dang it. Maybe I'm just not good enough at it. Maybe we need to learn more. Let's go in and let's learn more.
Every form of matter vibrates at a certain frequency.
That's true.
And resonance, which is a physics-based concept and is also the equivalent to the way we feel, truly is the secret that allows us to manifest anything we desire.
Okay, again, so there was some stuff that was true. Everything vibrates at a frequency. That's true. The level of vibration is determined by the state of matter that it's in and the temperature that it's at. It is literally just a measure of heat at any given state, matter state. That's all. If you want to find out how fast something is vibrating, just get one of those thermometers that can read stuff just by being pointed at something. Read the temperature, and there you go. You know how it's vibrating. So does that mean if I want to vibrate at the same frequency as something, I just have to heat it up to body temperature? Cool, great. Okay, now we have the solution. Now we know. However, then she throws in that resonance is the same thing as a motion state, and not only is that not true, she has yet to defend that point other than just throwing it out. Let's see if she can. Infrared thermometer. Thank you, Arcanite.
Resonance is the name for what happens when one object, vibrating at the same natural frequency of a second object, forces that second object to start vibrating seemingly spontaneously.
This is true in the sense that, like, the most obvious example is if you play a certain note, like you play a perfect A tuning fork will start vibrating because a tuning fork tuned to the same A will also vibrate. This is because the vibrations are hitting that tuning fork at the same level that it would naturally want to vibrate, the same frequency. So it's actually encouraging it, the way the vibrations are hitting it, the rhythm of it, it's encouraging it to vibrate. If you go too fast, it sort of messes up that rhythm. If you go too slow or go too low, it messes up that rhythm. Has to be perfect. Yes, that much is true. But that's not true with every material. That's only like specific things if the frequency is powerful enough to make it shake, to disturb it.
It's then that we can perceive that object in our lives.
What?
As I've said before,
No, light doesn't work like that. We see based on light. Light bounces off of objects. Light does not have a resonance that allows us to see things based on frequency. Color is not based on frequency. Color is based on what a material absorbs versus what it scatters. And that could be chemical as well as physical, but that's a different story. Point is, we see things based on light, not frequency.
Manifestations are within reach of you, literally. If you're not experiencing those things, it's only because you cannot perceive it in your reality, not because it's not there.
Everyone, the people who can see Bigfoot and unicorns are actually just on a different frequency than we are. Those people who see the cryptids, Mothman, just on a different frequency. That's all it is. You just have to tune your brain to the right radio station. Have you tried tuning it to 93.3? I hear that's a very popular station for cryptids.
To perceive it in your reality, you become the object that vibrates in such a way that it forces the manifestation that matches that to show up in your life.
This is... I'm like pausing after every sentence because everything she says is just completely wrong. No, you don't become an object that vibrates at a frequency. I am not vibrating. Okay, my leg is shaking because I'm stimming. Because this is getting me like a little agitated that like everything is wrong in this. Color is based on frequency but has a different frequency. Colors of electromagnetic radiation bouncing off of things. Yes, but it's also based on pigments and the way light is captured by those pigments and the structures that of objects on that level, and different, and light can be captured by structures, and there could be structural color as well as pigmentary color. It gets complicated. It's more complicated than just frequency.
Personally, understanding this concept has had a profound effect on how I intentionally
Welcome.
create my life.
Welcome to Scotch Egg 35. Welcome to the void. We are here just hanging out, talking about conspiracy theories, tossing all this stuff into the void where it belongs. I'm a trans plural streamer, just happy to be here. Let's keep going.
William James, a pioneering American psychologist and philosopher born in the 1840s, created a theory that said if a person behaved as if they were a specific type of person, they would become that person.
I can talk about this because this philosophy used to be my entire life philosophy growing up. I used to think that if I just acted normal, I wouldn't be autistic. If I just acted as if I was neurotypical, I would be neurotypical. This is that sort of bootstraps mentality that you're just not working hard enough at being normal. You're just not doing enough. This is wrong. Some aspects of you cannot change. Some aspects of you just don't work like this. And to think that everything can be solved by just pretending that you can be that person, pretending that you can be successful, and acting as if you already are successful. It creates a lot of wishful thinking and hope that is constantly having to be supplied, which can be exhausting to keep up. This can be draining, and this can literally lead to mental problems such as depression, because no matter how hard you work, you never seem to get to that success that you want. And therefore it becomes physically off-putting and mentally off-putting and just tiring. It becomes tiring and not fun to pretend to be that person. This can work if your goals are right and you get lucky and you're the and things just match between like the kind of person you are and what you're trying to become and your surroundings. Like, it's not impossible, but this as a general rule for everybody isn't effective.
If you've been studying or using the law of attraction for any time, then you've probably heard that acting as if is a great way to manifest things intentionally. And decades of research has shown that this is accurate and applies to all aspects of our lives.
That is just factually incorrect. It is, yes, there is an aspect of fake it till you make it. I have done a lot of good and had a lot of self-improvement because I've faked my own betterment until I actually made it. I just like, I have to be better until I reach this point. And once I reach this point, I can let go. And then I got to that point. I was like, okay, well, now I have a new goal. And I would just have to act better until I get to that point. And through just doing that, I started to learn behaviors and learn how to like integrate stuff into my daily life and into my thought process for good and for ill. For positive self-improvement and to be a better cult member of the organizations that I was a part of. It's usually used by cult people because it is an easy way to restructure someone's personality and behavior. And that's not saying it can't be used for good, but that's typically where I see it. And this sort of self-indoctrination that this video is purporting, not healthy.
And why is this as if principle so accurate? Because behaving as if we feel an emotion will create that genuine emotion because it produces real physiological changes, which in turn produces real vibrational changes.
If I just imagine it hard enough and want it hard enough, can I just get rid of certain parts that make me uncomfortable? Can I get rid of my dysphoria? If I just think about it hard enough, is that possible? You say it's physiological. Maybe I can like change my body just by thinking about it. Please? Please, can I? No? That's not how it works? Well, dang, I got my hopes up.
You may also have heard this before, but it's important to mention that our bodies don't know the difference between the thought of an event happening and an event actually happening.
I can think right now, what if I was... Let's take an extreme example. What if I was in a... What if I was kidnapped right now and someone broke in my door, grabbed me, dragged me... I could think about every step of that process of being kidnapped. And I can think about it in a way that will not be the same as it actually happening to me. Because I will not have those chemicals going. I will not have the physical stimuli around me. I can think about it intellectually and not have to imagine it as if it was real. This isn't a dream. A dream is that sort of state. If you have trauma and are looking back on the events of the trauma, then your brain might not be able to tell the difference between reality and not reality, reality and thought. This sort of, you just can't ever tell, is disingenuous and kind of like, I don't know, the people who think the Matrix is actually the world that we live in. We don't live in a simulation. I'm sorry, there's no evidence to support that. And if we do, well, it's a really darn good simulation because, again, there's no evidence to support that. We're gonna free transition with this easy trick. Doctors hate her.
We physiologically process thoughts in the exact same way as we do actual events.
No.
And we can use this fact to our advantage to raise our vibration intentionally and match the reality of our choosing.
Vibration being emotions, and emotions being thought patterns, and thought patterns being... Like, where is the connection between how we feel and how we vibrate? I'm missing that. Please, fill me in.
But sometimes we feel far off from those positive feeling states that match our intended manifestations. And making the leap from feeling uncertain or lack or unhappiness to a much higher vibrational emotional state can seem like a daunting task.
Oh no, this is going to tell people to just feel happy all the time, no matter what. Just enforce positivity on yourself. Oh, I hate this. I hate this message so much. I'll get into it when she talks about it. She might not, but if she does, I have some choice words for her.
From an emotional scale point of view, we rarely move from a lower emotional feeling state to what is considered a higher emotional feeling state.
Let's read this scale energy vibrations. We have shame down in the feet because, not going to explain that one. Feeling guilty at a 36, I think. Okay, shame is at a 20 hertz. Feeling guilty, 30 hertz. Apathy, 50 hertz. Grief at the knees. No, grief at the shins, 75 hertz. Kneecapped by fear at 100 hertz. Desire in your thighs at 125. Anger, mid-thighs. Vanity, right below your crotch. And boldness, right at your wrists. At 200 hertz. I'm not going to comment on what you just said, Argana. I'm not going to say anything. Readiness, 310 hertz. Right at your torso, right at your midsection. Adoption is an emotion at 350 hertz. Mind is an emotion. Mind is a vibe. What? Where? Okay, the first stuff was like emotions and states of like thoughts, but now we're getting to a mind. What does that even mean? 400 hertz. I'm so confused. Right at your breast level too, not even at your mind level. Then you have love at 500 hertz, right at your shoulders. Joy at your neck. Do you feel joy in your neck? Is that where you're supposed to feel it? I'm so confused. Then you have harmony at like your face and enlightenment, 700 and more hertz. Here's my question though. Where did they pull these measurements from? Where did they pull this all from? I want to look something up real quick. So you come here and look up hertz scale. I want to look up like a frame of reference for these scale measurements to see like what these emotional states actually end up being. So let's look at oh no, that's not good. Come on. Dude. Okay, so here we have 10 to the this hertz, 10 to the okay, so most wavelengths are 10 to the x power. So most wavelengths, let's zoom in a bit, are right there. Most wavelengths are 10 to the x power, and the wavelengths we were dealing with were at most like 700 to 1000. So right in the long distance radio waves. Hang on, wait. Does that mean my brain and my emotions can vibrate like a radio wave, like one of those ham radios? You know, with those giant antennas that you see set up on vans or on top of houses. I just have to... You think anyone's picking this up? Hey, I should change my frequency. Let me think happy thoughts. I'm delighted. If anyone picks that up on their ham radio sets, let me know. Because I'm trying to find these frequencies out. So, by the way, the frequencies would literally fit right like here to back here. This is the range we're talking about. That, nope, this one. This tab. These numbers here make no sense at all. try sound waves. They're slightly more in line with this BS. You know what? You're right. Let's try sound waves. Let's see if we can get any sense of scale here. Frequency of speech. Here we go. Okay. So here we have 2000 hertz, 200 hertz. Oh, look. Okay, so the lowest we have is shame at 20 hertz. Here we go. Zoom in a little bit so you can see it. 20 hertz is right at the bottom of bass sounds. So if I want to feel shame, I just have to go, pardon this. Let me have some water. I need to clear my throat for this. I just have to let my whole body vibrate with this. Hang on. Is that being picked up by anyone? Are you feeling my shame? Are you feeling my regret? Are you feeling apparently my feet, because that's where this is located and not my chest where it's vibrating? It is vibrating my chest though. I do feel that resonance. It is quite pleasant to feel that. So let's try something else. Medium sounds, frequency of speech. I'm right now probably speaking in low treble sounds around 2000 hertz. So if I just do you think does anyone pick that up? Does anyone hear that? You know, I don't know. But I don't know how to vibrate my whole existence based on the tone of my voice. I wish I could. I wish I could just change my body by speaking a certain volume or a certain frequency. I'm not feeling your feet, boy, but you keep bringing it up. Well, look, the shame is down here. The feeling guilty is down here. I'm poking fun at how dumb this image is. I don't know what you're talking about, Aragonette, but this image is what I'm referencing.
In an instantaneous way. When I realize that I'm experiencing a lower emotional feeling state and I'm ready to create something new, I know it's time to do a little work on my vibrational meter.
What does that mean?
This is not to say that it isn't a good idea to sit with some of these emotional states that are considered lower on the scale, process them, and allow them to flow when needed.
She's talking about shadow work.
However, when you're ready to shift out of that to create something new, it can be helpful to have a few tools to do this. So here's a simple process that I use to instantly shift my vibrational state when I'm experiencing.
Are you feeling it now, Mr. Aragonette? Are you feeling it now?
Experiencing emotions that I'm ready to move past. And this process helps me first get centered before I begin working on reaching the higher vibrational states that actually align with the experiences that I really choose to have.
Okay, but I'm not seeing it. I'll let her keep talking.
And I'll give you another process that you can use in just a moment to follow this one and get into true vibrational alignment
teach me
with your
how.
manifestation.
That might teach me how this stuff is all.
The first thing I do is create 2 columns on a piece of paper.
Whoa, I'm sorry, what?
I label the first column, things I like the feeling of thinking about. The second column is labeled, things I like the feeling of doing.
How does this change your vibration? How does this change a physical aspect of yourself? I'm really trying to understand, and I'm struggling here. Please explain that aspect now. You're just making a self-help checklist.
Then I proceed to write down as many of these things as possible in these 2 columns as they come to mind. I also write out the feeling states that correspond with each of these things. For example, if I were to write down, I like the feeling of thinking about having dinner with my family, I would then list feeling states such as happiness, fun, and love. If I
She must have a really nice family, because
write down, I like the feeling of walking on the beach in the other column, again, I would write feeling states that correspond with that, such as peaceful, centered, and relaxed. So this process helps me to get really in touch with the beginning of shifting my feeling states into a more positive place, because I'm focusing on specific thoughts, experiences, and actions that
This is a common technique that I see people encourage, and it's a common technique that I see cults take advantage of. Focusing on the positive, enforcing positivity on yourself. It really just encourages you to like enforce emotions on yourself when it is harmful to do so. If you are, say, depressed, trying to make yourself feel more positive and like trying to avoid those negative dips that depression gives you is only going to lead to more depression, because you're not able to do that as successfully, and then you're just pretending, and you get imposter syndrome about existing around other people, which exacerbates your mental issues, which then leads to more faking it and thinking that everyone else has it figured out and you don't, and you're just not good enough, and you need to keep going and keep trying harder and harder and keep reinforcing it in yourself, and it leads you to be more and more suggestible and more desperate and accepting of ideas that maybe you wouldn't have accepted a while ago, but now you just need anything to get you through it. You see how this stuff escalates? This is a nice idea, but the connotations, the way that people take advantage of it, and the way like it can be unhealthy for you, if it works for you, that's great, but don't expect it to work for everyone.
align with those things that I enjoy, and I begin to create those feelings within me in doing so. I recommend doing this exercise for 10 or 15 minutes or longer if you can keep coming up with things to write down, in order for the second part of the process that I'm about to give you to work effectively in raising your vibration to a state that aligns with what you want to create. So I highly recommend going through this crucial part of the process first, and you'll see why in just a moment.
Okay.
So once you've used this process and you've become centered and you've started to produce
Centered,
a state that's more
of course.
vibrationally aligned with things you choose to create,
So the video didn't
you only
fix
need a
that.
little more creativity to begin really lining up with those things. And that's what the second part.
Oh, the reason is you just aren't centered enough. The reason your life isn't coming together, you just aren't focused enough. You aren't mentally there enough. If you just work harder at it, you'll get it. You just aren't good enough yet. This is the stuff I hate about this mentality. Anytime you aren't getting it, it's your fault for not feeling right. It's your fault for not being good enough, for not being happy enough, for not being focused enough. What if you have ADHD? What if you have trauma? What if you are just depressed or sad or have BPD, and you just have times when you're happy and times when you're sad, and you just have to live with that? You can't regulate stuff through willpower. That's not how mental illness works. And to just throw it back on the person and say you're just not happy with, you're just not successful because you just aren't focused enough on success, when they are doing literally everything they can to survive and make it day by day, or even like week by week if they're doing better, like it's unhealthy. It's genuinely unhealthy.
You only need a little more creativity to begin really lining up with those things. And that's what the second part of this process that I use will assist you with.
Oh boy, let's
So
see
the
it.
next thing I do is I really hone in on the thing that I'm creating
I
by
love
discovering a
this
few
old-fashioned
details about that.
graphic.
Specifically, I ask myself why I want.
Does anyone get a certain feeling when seeing that blue? I don't know why, but anytime I see like that, hang on, let me skip back just enough to see it. That particular shade of blue, it's like very strong, and there used to be this pill commercial back in like the early 2000s and late 90s that had this color, and every time I saw it, I just got this really like ball of some emotion in my chest. Almost uncomfortable, but almost pleasant. I don't know if anyone feels that way about this color. It's weirdly like it perfectly fits an emotion that I don't feel like I have, but it exists. That's the best way I could describe it. And every time I look at this color, it's like, huh, well, that's certainly a thing that I am feeling. Anyways, maybe that's the vibrations
Covering
that
a
I'm
few
missing.
details about that. Specifically, I ask myself why I want to create a specific experience. The why is very important because it gets me in touch with the feeling state. Each experience that I choose
Set
to
editing
create
is
in my
really
life is
boring. It's
because
just
I
a
can imagine
slideshow.
somewhere within me how that experience will feel in having it.
You gonna say anything?
In other words,
useful?
I can get into vibrational touch with that thing. For instance, when I want to have the experience of a vacation, I'm imagining a state of relaxation or fun or adventure. And if I want to experience those things, it means I'm not necessarily feeling them currently. So I ask myself, how can I create relaxation in my life now so I can align with creating more relaxation in my life for the future? This
I don't have anything
question
to
leads
say,
me
but
back to the
that's so
list
wrong.
that I
That's so
previously
backwards.
created. Where on my list did relaxation show up? The list gives me clues as to
Oh no, you're like using your own. I guess it's more personalized, so that's better, but like you're just reinforcing mentalities onto yourself by forcing yourself into certain headspaces. This is how you develop plurality. This is how you like force yourself into feeling certain ways by thinking about certain things and acting in certain ways. This is not healthy. This is how you make a head mate.
how I can get back in touch with those feeling states.
Mm-mm,
So I now have the why for the manifestation experience, and most importantly, the how. And then I begin to find ways that duplicate those experiences from the list to create this genuine vibrational state within me.
What I'm getting from this is emotions are just frequency. That is just baseline information. They are just frequency. You can't question it. You can't go any deeper than it. It's just boom. Frequency equals emotion. The moment you try to figure out why or how, there's no explanation. It just is, so move on from there.
This is the fastest way I've learned to do this, and it works exceptionally well for me. Because we physiologically process thoughts in the exact same way
She loves using physiologically. She loves that word.
as actual events, using these two processes is a great way to produce the feeling states or vibrational alignment that corresponds with the manifestations we choose to create. And when we intentionally create feeling states, we begin to perceive a reality that matches that.
No. You force yourself into a state where you are pretending to notice and forcing out emotions that do that. Okay, here's an example, right? Here's an example. When I was in middle school and high school, I did not have a lot of friends. So I had to emotionally regulate myself on my own. The way I would do that was singing to myself, focusing on songs. I would think of songs that make me happy. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, my oh my, what a wonderful day. That's a song that I would sing a lot. When I was feeling really sad, I would sing that and try to focus on that emotion, imagine that emotion, and I would feel happy, but I would also feel tired. It was like this sword that I was on, where I was feeling better and better and better, but it was also like I knew it was a fake emotion. I knew it was false, and I was just forcing myself into it. But if I just forced myself hard enough, if I just believed and focused and sang and found enough songs, I could pretend until it became real. And for like maybe a half hour to an hour, I could be happier than I was. But it never stuck. And it just led to more, what really was depression and imposter syndrome, and led to a lot of issues later on. I don't recommend this kind of idea for anyone because it doesn't encourage healthy habits. It encourages dependence on emotional states that are inherently immaterial and transient. You can't track or predict your emotions 100%. You can't force yourself into emotional states with 100% guarantee that is effective and not just false emotion states. And that can be draining. It takes a lot of spoons to do that.
When this happens, we produce and reinforce beliefs that we are already experiencing these things. This then creates a dominant vibrational frequency that makes us the perfect match to create more of that.
No, that's not what it does. It tricks your brain into thinking happy thoughts and using what little dopamine it has left, leaving you even more tired when you inevitably drop.
When we change how we think, we change how we feel.
Oh, here it is. Thoughts lead to emotion. Thoughts lead to emotions. And emotions lead to thoughts. Thoughts lead to actions. Thoughts lead to words. Words lead to actions. Actions lead to habits. Habits lead to behavior. Behavior leads to personality, who you are. That is a sliding scale that a lot of cults like to use so that they can trick people into thinking that if you just work hard enough at this and controlling your own thoughts and controlling your own emotions, you can really be happy. And it just makes them have to pretend and put on this persona of happiness, put on this persona of perfection that they regret and grow tired from. It's truly tragic.
When we change how we feel, we change what we perceive and experience. It all starts from within.
This is cool,
Emotion.
This is very void-like. If that was a black or purplish light at the end instead of white, I would accept this as gender.
Are energy in motion. And in the same way you can't tune into a specific radio station without turning the dial on the radio, you can't manifest your desires without shifting your emotional frequency.
I love that she talked about radio waves, because radio is such a better example of how frequency actually works than emotion states are. There's no evidence that I've ever seen, and I've looked into it before, no evidence that emotions change some kind of frequency, or that are even connected to frequency.
To one that tunes you into the experience of that manifestation. So the most helpful thing you can do, where deliberate manifestation is concerned, is to align your energy to the highest emotion possible regarding what you are creating.
Just as a note, this is based on a fallacy known as, what's it called? The expert fallacy or something? Where you rely on someone who's supposed to be an expert in the field without understanding either why they're saying it or what they're, while also misunderstanding or misappropriating their expertise. It's really dangerous to do because you just accept someone without thinking about it. Not to mention this person, it's also fallacy from antiquity. This person in the past said the thing, so therefore it must be right. Or this person who used to be an expert back in the day said a thing, therefore it must be right. When really psychology at this time was such a new field. Freud was still believed at the time, instead of being seen as the crackpot idea generator that he was. Almost all of his ideas have been thrown out at this point, but he's just credited at jump starting the field. So people who are from the 1800s talking about psychology, take it with several grains of salt, because they probably don't actually know what they're talking about. They're throwing out ideas that we then use to further the basic studies and the base knowledge. We didn't even have base knowledge back then, and these people were throwing out ideas. What they did eventually lead to a level of base knowledge of human psychology, but these people were developing that. That doesn't mean that what they were saying is true. It means what they were saying is conjecture based on their own beliefs, and they could pass it off as science because they called themselves psychologists or psychoanalysts or whatever you want to say. It's like saying, who's the guy who named dinosaurs? I should know his name. I used to. Oh man, I'm such a big dino nerd. How do I not know this? I'm blanking on it. Right, but the guy who coined the term dinosaurs, the guy who named Megalosaurus and Iguanodon. I feel like, no, not Charles M. Knight. He was the artist. Whatever his name was. It's like calling him a paleontologist and believing all of the ideas he had because he was a paleontologist or a naturalist back in the day. The stuff he believed back then was wrong because he thought they were actually giant lizards that roamed the earth back when Adam and Eve were alive and died out in the flood. That's not exactly what we know now.
Your vibrational frequency permeates the space around you.
Skip, I don't want to promote you. No, go away. Alright, we're done. We're done here. Point of this video, there doesn't seem to be a connection between emotions and frequency. And the best way that they could do it, just mixed it up with actual radio waves. I don't know how to do it. If we could do it, I would love to learn. But really, this was just fake it till you make it. Force emotion states onto yourself so that you can pretend to be happy for just a little bit and in the long term damage your psyche. If you are feeling down or feel like you need to give yourself a little push in a direction, there are healthy ways to do it. That list idea isn't a bad idea in and of itself, but don't take it to the degree that she's suggesting. It can be helpful to look at how you see yourself and your ideas and your emotions and analyze it and get ideas and inspiration from that, but don't use it as a guidebook to control and trigger emotions. Anyways, leave all your thoughts down in the void below. Shoot them down there. I'll be sure to read them. Hit like, comment, subscribe. All that YouTube stuff. And remember, the void loves you.